beginning our live now. And siguro let's begin first with a it's sort of an announcement because I think the reason why we need to talk about um, what went wrong, what people or what pageant girls did well in the recent Miss Universe competition, it's because pageant have now become a sort of a spectator sport. It has developed itself to become like a competitive sport where um, you need to evaluate the performances of our reps and those who won simply because we need to find out what are the things that they did right or what are the things that they didn't do well in the competition so that we are able to review them and learn from them and get some sort of like a perspective on what are the things that they did right in order for us to be able to apply all those learnings into our pageant campaigns later on down the line. And I think it's very important that we talk about Arbony and what are the things that she did well in this competition because the way that she set out her game plan as well as the way that she executed her plans for the Miss Universe pageant were all done with very precise execution and with very quiet application. And that is something that we've appreciate with Arbony and the way that she executed her Miss Universe game plan because it was so quiet but it was so effective and potent. Yung tipo na nagawa niyang ituloy yung kanyang campaign, yung kanyang pageant campaign without so much of a noise or buzz. That what we saw was a pageant girl who was executing everything that she's planned um, very well in such a way that no matter what are the things that would happen along down the line, you could see na lahat ng ginawa niya for the pageant were all executed well and well well thought of, well planned and very precise yung application niya throughout the entire pageant. In this live stream ng video, we are actually going to talk about key components, three major learnings that we think we can learn from Arbony's Miss Universe campaign. And these three things are essentially what made her stand out in the competition. And I would say that those three are yung pagiging individual niya, yung individuality niya, yung consistency niya doon sa kanyang execution, sa kanyang game plan, and then yung very intense focus. Nakitaan natin siya ng very intense focus on delivering yung mga action plans niya hitting her goals in the competition. And we will be talking, on all those points one by one para madig natin kung ano yung mga pwede nating hiramin from her game plan and learn to execute them well later on for our pageant girls because it's important that we learn something from this experience. So before we begin, let's just say hi to several people here in the what do you call this in the live stream. Ping is here. Hello, Ping. Love Nimrod, magandang gabi din. JQ, hello. He's waving hi. And Oriental Josa Sahara, she's also here. And sabi niya, she ripped what she saw. Okay, so for this, for this live stream, I think I need to stress the importance of yung strategies and reviewing strategies on what worked and what didn't and what are the things na outdated na and what are the things that needs updating or modernizing at this point in time. We have to learn from these lessons because we need to use it later on to formulate plans and game plans for our pageant ladies. Ayan. Clarky V, hello. Kumakaway siya. Thank you for joining us in our live stream today. So, Before we begin, I hope that you hit the like button for sa mga kaibigan natin na nandito ngayon, so that it would feed the algorithm and let more people know about our discussion live stream tonight. Ayan. So let's take a deep breath and appreciate muna yung pagkapanalo ni Arbony, because Arbony is the first Asian American of Filipino descent who won Miss Universe, representing the United States. She's also, a pageant girl who was aiming for more diversity and representation for Asian Americans, and I think that was included in her Miss Universe bio. And I think that is a very, kumbaga, despite our loss for not making it in the semis with Celeste Cortesi, we are very happy that our Boniga, Gabriel, was very, you know, very, tawag nito, very vocal and open about her Filipino roots, and during the behind the scenes na press con during the Miss Universe pageant, she acknowledged and nagsalita siya ng Tagalog. She acknowledged her Filipino side, and she acknowledged Filipino fans. And I think that kind of throwing it back to her roots, to her Filipino heritage, nakakatabayan ng puso for a lot of Filipinos. And I think that it is something that we appreciate, because it allowed us to have an idea na hindi niya nakakahiya yung kanyang pagiging Pilipino, and that she acknowledges as well the Filipino fans that has been supporting her throughout her journey. So, kumbaga parang pat on the back on Arbony for that, that thing that she did. Okay? Sige, basa muna tayo ng mga comments. Pangumusta muna tayo. Rodvin Fiel is here. Hello. Hello, Rodvin. Sabi niya, nalate ako sa class. Present, sir. Don't worry, Rodvin. We just started, so you haven't missed that much yet. Ramsey is here. Ramsey, tinatanong niya, your thoughts, sir, sa mga naglalabasan na gown si Celeste na much beautiful kesa sa mga sinuot niya. Let's talk about that a little bit later, because tonight, I think I really want to give this spotlight on Arbony, and what are the things that she did right, that she did very well in the competition, that we can copy, that we can learn from, in order for us to improve our chances at the Miss Universe later on in in El Salvador. So for those na bagong dating, please do give us a thumbs up, a like on our live stream today, para mas marami tayong mas marami ang makakita ng live stream natin, at mas marami ang maka-join. So, first and foremost, what is the number one thing that we learned from Arbony's competition, from her game plan sa Miss Universe? There are actually three things na I've mentioned earlier na sa tingin ko sets her apart from everybody in the competition, and that is her individuality, her consistency, and then yung intense focus niya during the competition. And I think we need to find how did she manage that. We need to find how she is able to manage, that kind of very laser-like focus, because yung execution niya is multifaceted, multi-pronged yung kanyang game plan. So the first things first is that we need to discuss how she was able to bring her individuality, her personality into the competition. And I think that stems from the fact that she was authentic. She never copied anybody else in the competition. She was authentic to who she is as a person. She mentioned what are the things that she stands for, and she never, turned her back on those. As I mentioned earlier, she was very unapologetic for being an Asian American, for being a Filipino American, and she acknowledged that throughout her journey from her Miss Texas USA to Miss USA to Miss Universe na competitions. And I think that is very much something that allows her to be more than just what we see on social media. And then, other than that, I think that one of the things that she brought into the competition is that she has a life outside of pageantry. Meaning, if you take away her title as, let's say, Miss USA or Miss Texas USA or Miss Universe, you would know that Arbony has, a life that is rich, whether it's in personal accomplishments or community involvement. There is something that we can see on her resume that sets her apart from other ladies who, I believe, some of Miss Universe ladies just came there and really went for the crown and have nothing to show up for. That is not the case with Arbany. With Arbany, she was able to finish her, fashion degree at the University of Northern Texas, and then she was also a volunteer instructor at Magpie and Peacocks, where her, where that group, Magpie and Peacocks, is actually a non-profit group that helps women of domestic abuse earn a living. And I think that's a very, very important thing, or rather very essential thing to bring into the competition, that outside pageantry, meron kang buhay, meron kang ginagawa sa buhay mo that is enriching, not just yourself as a person, but the people around you as well. And I think that is very, very admirable for Arbony, because there are a lot of pageant girls who go to competitions in order for them to win the title and make the title, work for them, so that they have a better life, they have better opportunities later on. With Arbony, even without the Miss USA or the Miss Texas USA or even the Miss Universe title, she's already impacting her community. She's already doing something about her want to, be of service to others. And I think that is a key component why she won Miss Universe. It's not just that she is able to, to have a very holistic resume to bring into the table. It's not that just that she has a strong credential, that, she brings into the competition, but rather she has something of her own that she brings, to enrich the Miss Universe experience later on. And I think that is a very important na ano na component why she won. And pagpasensyahan nyo kasi on today's live stream, I again have a very long, long notes on the topic of discussion. So we might get, overboard. Hindi na ako mangangako na we will make this short, but I will try as much as possible to, hit all the notes that I want to discuss with you guys. Okay? So, let's uh, read some comments muna before we continue our discussion. Okay? So, we have here Oriental Josa Sahara is saying, Arbony is the new version of Cat. I cannot agree. I cannot agree or disagree with that, because I think Arbony is an individual of her own. But I see yung parallels. I don't see that Arbony is a version of Cat, but rather she took several pages from Kat's journey and applied it to herself, so that it tailor fits, her needs. And therefore, I see that there is a parallel between the two. Not necessarily a version of Catriona, but rather a parallel. It's like two perpendicular lines of the same wavelength between Catriona and Arbony. I think that's for me, much more accurate na comparison. Not necessarily a version of whomever. Okay, Belladonna says, celebrate and appreciate. Smiley face. Robin Fiel, Sir, I think na may kinalaman yung fact na si Arbony mismo ang captain ng campaign niya. Come to think of it, si Pia and Kat din before, sila may control ng campaign nila, especially Kat. I would not, I would not disagree with that. I actually feel na with Arbony, there was no other, what do you call this? There was no other chef that could spoil the broth with her campaign. And I think that's the reason why super ano siya, super strong yung kanyang campaign because it was undiluted. Kumbaga, it's never been hindi siya nahaluan ng opinions, ng decisions ng ibang tao. That's why her campaign is holistically hers alone. And I think isa yun sa mga pwede nating mapag-aralan from her. It's one of the things that we can learn from the experience, from her experience, that she took ownership and she never let anybody decide for her, but rather, probably allowed everybody else's opinion to enhance and enrich her perspective, and probably use that to make decisions throughout her pageant campaign in Miss Universe. Okay, sabi ni Rodvin, also may certain lever ng pagka-raw yung presentation niya. Celeste is too polished na naging mechanical a bit yung performance niya. I think that we will, because we will be talking about Arbony's performance later, so sorry, because we will be talking about Arbany's performance a little bit later, we will reserve what we think about that a little bit later on. Okay, so pagpasensyahan mo na if I will be skipping that a bit. But later, I will try to circle back and discuss what are my thoughts on Arbony's performance. Okay, sabi ni Ping, Sir Jason, what are the specifics? Saan po lumamang si USA kay Venezuela? That's a good question actually, Ping. But I will be, what do you call this? I will be tackling that a little bit later on kapag natapos ko na yung 3 points ko na gusto kong sabihin on this live stream. Because I think there is a comparison later on what Arbony did right, that I think, medyo baka dun kinapos si what do you call this, si Amanda. Okay, so let's go back to yung yung discussion natin, because I want to talk about consistency, and I think that is one of the main reasons, one of the key areas that Arbony is able to really cement her lead against every other front runner in the title. From the moment that she was crowned, she never allowed outside noise to distract her or derail her from executing her plans well. Whether it's going to be her wardrobe, whether it's going to be the way she walks, whether it's the way that she is representing herself on or off cam. Very consistent yung the way that she is able to show people who she is, whether it's at Miss USA, Miss Texas USA, or Miss Universe. And one of the things that is very consistent that I've seen throughout her Miss Universe campaign is her use of social media. Now, I know that everybody of you is going to be saying, Sir, social media na naman, nandyan na naman ulit tayo sa conversation na yan, hindi na natapos yung conversation na yan on social media. But you have to understand, there is a certain power of social media in the way that candidates are being perceived, in the way that the what do you call this, the Miss Universe candidates are being checked at, because it's very common knowledge na the candidates how do you say this, na background investigate yung mga yan. And the first thing that, or the first area siguro that that people would look at is actually yung social media nila, because that is a area where people, and not just fans but probably judges as well, get to look who the candidates are before they even meet them in person. Now, do you remember in the 69th Miss Universe, there was a VIP experience that was discussed for yung mga manonood ng Miss Universe sa on-site. And this was back in 20 2020, I believe, or 2021, May of 2021, I believe, where we are all concerned kung ano yung nangyayari doon sa Guitar Hotel, kung paano yung VIP experience. I remember that there was a live stream, or there was a what do you call this? There was a Zoom call involving members of the Miss Universe organization explaining what will happen during the VIP experience on site. And one of the things that was discussed there, or was mentioned there by Meg Omisin, which is one of the key persons at the marketing team of the Miss Universe organization, sinabi niya na another topic discussed is the importance of social media, and I am quoting verbatim doon sa report. Paula clarified that the candidate's social media numbers isn't important, but but has to be comfortable with posting on social media, as she is going to be an employee of the Miss Universe company. Meg said that they go through the social media of all girls who are competing and make sure that they have a social media history that they can be proud of. So that means that a social media is a very reliable tool for the organization when they're doing background checks. So it means that as candidates, you need, or rather, candidates need to leverage yung power ng social media in the way that they communicate. And that is what one of the things that Arboni did very well in the competition, because throughout her posting on social media from the time that she was competing at Miss Texas USA down the line until she was competing at Miss Universe, you can see her social media, her Instagram account, like it was a um, virtual resume. It was like an online, repository of all her credentials, and she never, let up in the way that she consistently posted about the things that was important to her. One being fashion. She was unapologetic with her kind of fashion, and isa pa nga sa mga naging commentary about her fashion is yung yung over fondness niya for cutouts in a lot of her wardrobe. So whether it's her arrival, or was it the arrival outfit na puti with the blazer with a lot of cutouts, or her daily wardrobe na maraming panels na see-through na area, or even her evening gowns that she wore during the preliminary and the finals na may mga areas na may mga see-through panels. And those cutouts have always been something that she's been consistent with. And another thing that she's consistent with is her very do-it-yourself aesthetic na she does, the some portions of her cape na kung saan ginawa niya yung mga wings that was included in her cape. She was actually the only girl among all the 84 candidates who did that, and she wore that special contraption on her shoulder that looks like, angel wings, that is made out of recycled plastic bottles. And then she also did a lot of DIY in her wardrobe, like her Miss Universe interview na outfit. She actually made that outfit herself. Even one of her interview outfits during her Miss USA media tour, and even her Miss Universe media tour, gawa niya, like the blue outfit that she wore for her Good Morning America na guesting. That is something that she made for herself. Another thing that she is very, um, very known for on her social media is the process, the way that she did these outfits. Ipinapakita niya yung journey nung piece, kung paano niya sinelf-embellish, paano niya kinot, paano niya pinattern, paano niya ginawa ng mga burloloy doon sa mga outfits na ginawa niya, what are the fabrics that she's used. Nakikita natin na yung mga reels niya, nagtatahi siya. So that is building consistency. And if you have a phrase in your Miss Universe na profile saying that you want to use fashion as a force for good, um, you must be able to show what have you been doing in terms of that aspect. And that is, seen also in her social media accounts where we see her, volunteer um, teaching class on sewing. For example, we also see her doing a lot of speaking engagements in her social media, sa mga reels niya, sa mga tawag ito, sa mga pinopost niya on her accounts on what are the things that she has accomplished. So I think being able to use social media and leverage social media in such a way that she is visible doing the things that she is passionate about and being consistent in spreading that message, that is something that we've actually on my blog I've talked about what is the power of social media on in pageantry. And I think Arbony, is the best example for that because in let me just pull up the article because this article actually is like a 2 year old na article because or wait, let me check. I think I wrote this in 2000. I wrote this in January of 2001. So yes, it's 2 years old na. And let me just uh, put the link on the chat box para makita nyo na it was indeed 2001 ko pa siya sinulat. And in that article, I mentioned that social media can be used as a virtual resume, and I think that was one of the things that Arbony did very well, and did spectacular on because she made use that everything that she does on her social media is a reflection on her credentials, on her passions. And I think using your social media to become your virtual resume, it becomes, as I said earlier, a repository of all your credentials. Now, another thing that is very important with social media is that it allows you a key touch point with your fan base, with your following. Kapag nakikita ng mga followers mo that you are doing something on the advocacy side that you are talking about, or on the credential side that helps build your image, it is more and more built within within the minds of your followers that you are walking the walk, talking the talk, at hindi yung you're one of the reasons why Arbony is so good at the level of consistency that she has been showing throughout the entire pageant. Now, there is also a level where she has used, her social media to build a authentic advocacy, or rather to showcase how authentic her advocacy is. And doon mo kita na aside from all the glam pics, the glam shots that is shown in her social media accounts, makikita mo na meron siyang ginagawa on the outreach. At one point, we saw her, talking to school children, mga younger generation na mga alam mong nasa grade school na mga school children, talking about believing in themselves. We've also seen her talk about sustainability practices on her social media. We've also seen her talk about fashion, because fashion is a major pollutant in the world. It's one of the industries that generates a lot of waste. She talks about using materials that are considered end of life materials in order for her to build, wardrobe, and giving a new lease of life dito sa mga fabrics na end of life na hindi nagagamit, na hindi na pwedeng hindi na pwedeng gamitin for mass consumption. And she is able to, build on that in a very authentic and very, grassroots na manner. And that is something na madali mong, madali mong ma-appreciate because the receipts are there. The posts are there, to showcase as evidences, kumbaga. And one of the things that, that is very important as well is that um, she allows herself to be visible, and being visible with your audiences is something that is really very important nowadays, because if you are unreachable, if you are not, if you are perceived as someone na hanggang tingin lang, hindi ka pwedeng mag-engage, hindi ka pwedeng makipag-communicate, that is something that is, a missed opportunity, because it allows you, having that interaction with your fans, allows you to become human in their eyes. And I think that is something that we really, need to stress on future pageant girls, because despite Arbony being very, not being very mapag reply sa comments, but the mere fact that she's able to discuss, able to show, her authentic self on on social media, that is something that makes, people who observe her strategy feel that they are getting to know her in person. And I think in that kind of rapport, that kind of, ability to extend yourself to other person, in a very in social media, and still appear, authentic, still appear, unscripted or unrehearsed. That is a great, asset to have, in your arsenal. Now, the third point, that I would like to talk about, with regards to what makes her campaign very, unique and very, victory worth it, is the fact that she has this intense focus on, what she needs to do in order to win, because alam naman nating lahat that after Miss USA, after her win in Miss USA, her victory was tainted by a scandal. Everybody, who are familiar with the issue knows that, there were candidates who accused, the organization heading the the national pageant, complained and had a field day on social media with regards to, rigging allegations. And of course, the Miss Universe organization became involved and did essentially, did a investigation on that. Ang maganda dito is that, anything that, Arbony would have to do as the new queen, was put into halt, and that allowed her to focus on the competitions, to focus on the Miss Universe competition ahead. Imaginein mo, dun sa 2 months na hindi siya lumipad sa LA and took over the apartment, the Miss USA apartment in LA, nandun lang siya sa Texas, ginugol niya yung oras niya in order for her to prepare for the Miss Universe pageant. And that is why, I would say that, Arbony sort of exhibited a certain kind of mental fortitude, that allowed her to focus intensely on the goal at hand, on the target at hand, because, with that, with that very, narrow, narrow perspective, rather not narrow perspective, but rather very narrow sight, na you are only focused on one thing. It allows you to focus all your energy on that singular thing, and that is winning Miss Universe. And what she did there was that instead of, being affected by all this noise regarding the scandal of rigging, the rigging allegations, she focused her energies on the areas that she can control, and that is the preparations for Miss Universe. And she, you know, did all of her did a lot of, a lot of her wardrobe. She did a lot of her competition wardrobe as well, because yung cape, siya mismo ang nag-dye, nag-print, gumawa ng mga extra na wings on that. She built her own, her own, what do you call this? Yung mala Victoria's Secret na wings on the back of her cape. She also did some, what do you call this? Yeah, she also did some wardrobe for her competition in Miss Universe. So there's a lot of things na pwede niyang sanang magawa because of the, allegations. She could have used her energies, explaining, why the contest is not rigged. But she knew that it was not hers to explain. It's the organization's job to explain that. And instead, she used her time to build on the things that she can build on, in order for her to have a very strong campaign in Miss Universe. And that is, um, yun na nga, because she is able to showcase, strong, what do you call this, strong mental fortitude. She was able to, tick every boxes that she needs to do in preparations for her Miss Universe journey. And what happens here is because she has a strong mental fortitude. She is able to anchor herself on her purpose. Meaning, alam niya kung bakit siya makikipag-compete sa Miss Universe. She knows that she needs to, to center herself to what is important to her purpose, why she is joining this competition. She wants representation. She wants diversity in the way that we all see, Asian Americans in the United States, and that is essentially a guiding point where she focused her energies on. So, she did there is that she found, people that would help her to boost her up in the competition, and that is why she has a long-standing relationship with Rian Fernandez, who did her gown at Miss Texas USA, at the Miss USA preliminaries, the Miss USA finals, the Miss Universe preliminaries, and then until the Miss Universe finals. So having that consistent, relationship with a designer who knows her body, who is able to design gowns that really fit not just her body but her personality, and have that working relationship in such a way that hindi nagkakaroon ng outshining of the designer versus the pageant girl, and instead the designs of the designer allows the pageant girl, allowed Arbony to shine. That is, one of the things that makes her campaign successful. Kasi once you get that kind of relationship with a designer who knows your body, who knows your personality, who respects you as a person, and you have a good working relationship with the designer, alagaan mo yung relationship na yun, because having a partner like that would allow you to explode in the international arena. And one of the biggest examples of that is the relationship of Hubert de Givenchy with Audrey Hepburn. There is no other fashion icon that you can think of that has a very well-off relationship with her designer, with her go-to designer, and that is why Hubert de Givenchy, the moment that that the house was taken over by a different designer, everybody was complaining with regards to the appointment of John Galliano, and later on Alexander McQueen for the fashion house, because it was a fashion house that was built on the image that Hubert de Givenchy and Audrey Hepburn built on. And that kind of relationship between a pageant girl and a designer is very difficult to match. The only candidate, the only pageant queen that we know of that kind of very, very respectful and very, kumbaga, very mutual na giving na relationship is that of Catriona Gray and Mac Tumang. They had created a very splendid, pageant wardrobe for her at Miss Universe in Bangkok in 2018, and this is exactly what I see as well with Arbony with Rian Fernandez to a certain degree. Um, Rian did five competition gowns for her, and we don't know if baka may mas marami pa siyang ginawa aside from those five gowns. So nowadays, we see, people really giving Rian the recognition that the designer deserved because of the the hard work being put by by Arbony herself. And another thing that that really cements for us yung mental fortitude ni Arbony is that um, she learned how to pick herself um, after setbacks. And one example of that is during her Miss USA stint. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the stage during the prelims and the finals. Medyo karamihan yung mga hagdanan. The stairs were quite steep, and the what do you call this? The heights of each step seems to be very very substantial. That even if you're wearing flats, you might need to bend your knees more in order to go down those stairs. And I think everybody saw that a lot of the candidates really struggled with the steps in the Miss USA stage. Arbony is is one of those. And there were a lot of pageant vloggers and pageant critiques regarding her war, who mentioned about her presentation skills. And I think that's one of the areas that Arbony, trained hard on, because pagdating ng Miss Universe, we saw her really performing well on stage. And this is a very, a very strong point to discuss, because Arbony, compared to other Miss USA in the past, Arbony uh, has more of a more refined walk as compared to a lot of Miss USA's pasarela in the past. Because USA has never been a country that has a strong, reputation for catwalk. So I think that that's one of the things na na she really honed in during the time that she was preparing for Miss Universe. Now, another thing that really shows that this girl, that Arbony has a strong mental fortitude, is yung ability niya to be grateful for everything that has happened to her, regardless of the criticisms about the pageant rigging and all the allegations that has been thrown to the Miss USA organization, to her as a person. She was not faced, and she never forgot to be very thankful of her support system in the competition. And I think that's having that kind of attitude of gratitude is something that really um, really that is a testament to someone with a very strong mindset. And finally, she knows she knows where her true north is pointing towards to, and I think that is one of the things na sets her apart with regards to her overall participation. I love the fact that in order for her to to compete at such a high performance level, um, she never allowed yung comments ng others to affect her and how she performs on stage, how she performs on the duration of the competition. Kasi um, with all the rigging na allegations, and there were even talks that she might not be allowed to compete in Miss Universe because of the ongoing investigation. Hindi siya napatinag, and if it were any other lesser candidate, they would have gotten rattled by that kind of news, and hindi niya she never allowed that to become very visible to everybody in her social media, and hindi siya nagpatinag. Kumbaga, there are areas kasi na or rather there are instances, not areas, there are instances where your confidence can be shaken, and it's up to you whether you allow that to affect you and your mindset and the way that you think about things. Because if you allow yourself to be rattled by those things that you have no control of, then talagang mawawala ka sa game plan mo. You will get distracted, you will get um, lost with all of this noise that is happening around you. And that is something that Arbo didn't allow herself to go into, to get into these rabbit holes of scenarios in her head, that of the things that could possibly go wrong. And I think when you start, when you start focusing on what could go wrong, it throws you out of your comfort zone. It throws you out of your confidence zone. It throws you out on it throws you basically off your game plan. And if you have a strong mindset like Arboni does, you don't dwell into those things that could affect you and your performance, and knowing that you can't control them anyway. You must focus on other things that are in your control, so that you hold back yung narrative. You don't allow other people's noise to dictate your narrative, and that's what she did. And I think having that strong inner compass within her, she didn't rely on other people's validation, um, para lang mabuild yung confidence siya. And I think ultimately that is what led to her victory overall, because the candidates saw it. The judges ultimately saw that as well. They've seen in her a woman who ticks all the boxes, because she is kumbaga, she already knows who she is. She's yung individuality niya is lumalaktaw from from her resume to who she is as a person. Yung kanyang ability to to serve the community, to have all of these credentials and still have a very grounded and very natural and very kumbaga very approachable na na atmosphere surrounding. Okay, apologies for that. I think nagkaroon tayo ng nagkaroon tayo ng issue sa internet. So anyway, ako naman ngayon itong narattle. So anyway, as I was saying, if you put all of that together, you put everything that we've seen so far with the way that she behaved, the way that she allowed herself to keep on her focus despite all of these things that is happening around her, and never lose herself in the noise throughout the Miss Universe competition. That is, I think, the reason why ultimately she won the title. Kasi Arbuni, despite being a dark horse, a front runner for the title, she was never one of the most popular girls in the competition. In fact, very rare yung mga instances that I would see Arbuni on top of everybody else's list. A lot of the pageant pages during the finals night were predicting Amanda Dudamel to win over the 84 candidates in this year's competition. Kokonti lang kami who have placed Arbuni on top of our list, on top of our respective na mga lists. And I think that ultimately, it is that kind of being unaffected by the external noise that ultimately led Arbonne to her victory. Because if we are going to, to look at Arbonne's, life experience versus of that of Amanda Dudamels, I think the reason why Arbonne won overall, it's because at age 28 she has established herself as a woman of accomplishment. Kumbaga, in terms of the things that she has done throughout her life, from her volunteering, from her, resume, yung mga natapos niya, ano yung nagawa niya um, after establishing her own label, after being an entrepreneur, being all of this stuff. Ultimately, I think it's the experience, the longevity of experience that really helped her, stand out against Amanda Dunimel. Of course, I would say Amanda is equally deserving and worthy of the title, but maybe the judges were swayed more on Arbony because she really showed grace under pressure. And this is not just your typical, grace under pressure on stage, but rather grace under pressure when there are a lot of rigging allegations going around. There are a lot of candidates who are really very vocal um, on social media that there was fixing that happened, that Arbony had a what do you call this, had a unfair advantage over the candidates in the competition, and yet she was able to hold her head in a confident manner, and do what she needs to do in order for her to be successful at Miss Universe. And I think that kind of grace under pressure is not necessarily something that every girl can have. And that kind of grace and grit, and as well as laser like focus, is something that any pageant girl should be looking at, and should be admiring, and hopefully can learn to do that in their own competitions as well. Kasi ultimately I think Miss Universe, the judges and the organization selected a very worthy kind of candidate, and a very worthy Miss Universe winner. Okay, so with that being said, let's jump into the questions and with the comments on today's live stream. Okay, mm, Josh, sorry. Josh Moore says, I think may hirapan ang MUP to look for a girl like Arbony, um, even the top five. I don't think naman that it would be very difficult. I think that it will just be a challenge, because if you're an organization that that does not focus on the girl, and would rather focus on the things na gusto mong mangyari, mahihirapan ka talaga maghanap. Kasi if you're going to be controlling, and you're going to be, how to say this, to be a micromanager of what are the things that the Filipino rep would do, then mahihirapan ka talagang maghanap ng candidate na ganun, because those candidates know their worth. And I think Arbony knew her worth going into the Miss Universe competition. If you are a pageant girl who knows her worth, who knows what she stands for, who knows her true north, her compass, no matter how micromanaging the organization is, you will not let it face you. And I think if pinagsabong mo yung ganon, yung isang organization na very micromanaging ang labas niya when it comes to their pageant girls, versus a pageant girl who is equally headstrong and knows her work, knows what direction she wants to go in, then you might not get a good fit. So I would say that the girl who has a very strong sense of self would not be something that would necessarily apply to a pageant that she knows her input is not going to be appreciated or even heard. So, hindi siya mag-a-apply doon sa ganung pageant system. So, I think that's going to be very difficult to 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 manage. Ayan. Belladonna. I think that the lady luck was on her since she seems to be the one the new MEO is looking for to be Miss Universe 2022. Results could have been different had it been under the old organization format. I agree. Kasi if it was like let's say in the Miss in the Trump era, definitely I would think that the likes of Amanda, Gabriela dos Santos of Curacao, and even Ashley, Ashley, what do you call this? Ashley Carino of Puerto Rico, or Alessia Rovegno of Peru would have won the title. I would also think Mafe Aristizabal under Trump era would have won Miss Universe had it been the old system. And also there is this isingit ko lang kasi there is this comment from a oh my god, I don't think I've saved it here. There's this comment from a pangalan nito, from a former judge ng Miss Universe, who mentioned something about uh, her opinion with regards to pangalan nito, to who should have won. Let me just try to check it out on my phone kasi I'm very sure that I was able to screenshot that comment. Okay, here it is. I'm not sure if you can see it. Anyway, it was from former judge during the Trump era, and her handle is Maria Celeste Araras, and she mentioned here. It was very when I read it in Spanish. I don't think na may malicious intent yung pagkakasabi niya. It was actually very very, how do you say this, very opinionated, but not rude. Okay, but essentially what she said is, um, the Miss Universe pageant is a beauty pageant. I have been a judge of the event on 2 occasions, and the instructions where the judges read it. And the instructions we judges received is that we should pick the most beautiful one in the group, the one who, when she enters a venue, she turns all eyes away. Of course, knowing how to express yourself and answer intelligently are important attributes. But there were a handful of uh, there were a handful among the 5 finalists who gathered all that, and in my opinion, were much more beautiful. I loved the Puerto Rican candidate because I find her exotic and elegant. Plus, she's a smart aerospace engineering student, and she responded well too. And between the 3 finalists, Dominican Republic and Venezuela seemed to me the candidates to be far superior to the winner. There were other very beautiful candidates like Curacao who were also strong in the competition. It doesn't always have to win one of ours, but this year the Latina bloc was very strong. In all sincerity and without wanting to be unfair, I didn't see Miss USA or among the semifinalists, even though I am a proud American citizen by birth. That's my very personal opinion. The prettiest must win, and this time that wasn't the case. Um, so, the takeaway here is that she was commenting from the perspective of a judge during the Miss Universe Trump era. The problem here is that we're no longer in the Trump era, and we're no longer looking for a candidate who is just beautiful, who just knows, how to command attention. We need someone who is a transformational leader, someone who can speak, someone who can be a spokesperson for the organization, someone who who knows how to fill a large space, someone who has an advocacy, someone who is a complete person outside of pageantry. And I think that is the reason why um, over Amanda or over Ashley, over Gabriela, over Miss Dominican Republic, that is the reason why Arbon won. Kasi if you take out the um, if you take out the pageant from the equation, meron siyang kumbaga meron siyang pinanghahawakan, meron siyang kinakatayuan. She stands for something, and I think that is, one of the reasons that I think she is a journalist. This journalist, this former judge, Miss Universe judge, kind of misses out on na hindi niya naiintindihan na hindi lang ganda ang sapat nga sa ngayon. It's no longer enough to just be a pretty face. You have to stand for something. You have to stand for something larger and bigger than yourself. Okay? Now let's go through the other comments. Uh, G Manila, Miss Universe will release a lifestyle line of bags, etc. Do you think it's a business strategy? They choose designers, Arbony and Amanda sa top two. I don't think so because I think more than their background as designers, I think it's the performance as well as the strong background that they have. I believe that more than just being aesthetically pleasing or more than just understanding design and fashion, these two tick the box of sustainable practices that I think that the Miss Universe is trying to really push towards too. Um, we all know that in 2021 they started this thrust on sustainability and sustainable practices, and I think Amanda and Arbuni being the top two is just a coincidence. Simply a coincidence because I think they are already looking for that for that in a winner anyway. They're looking for someone who ticks the box, not just on the sustainability equation, but rather someone who is also very active on her social community na work, and I think ultimately they chose the correct girls to make top three, to make top two, and to make winner. Um, okay. Si Aurora Cassiopeia, medyo marami siyang binanggit. It's just quite impossible standard for anyone here to be like Arbony. There are not much opportunities to do such big things here in the Philippines, unlike in the USA. Also, you have to put lots of money into it, so it is only for the rich to start such big projects like what Arbony did. As an average avid pageant fan and observer, I don't like what our MUP org is doing. Even just in the styling, kahit doon man lang sana sila bumawi. Napaka old-fashioned kasi, um, wait. Yeah, ayun, okay, ayun. Napaka-old-fashioned kasi nila sa tingin ko lang. Masyado silang kampante as if parang ini-expect nila na iyong littlest effort nila ay makakapagdala kay Celeste to be the queen of queens in Miss Universe. Considering the progress made by MUPH team and Celeste throughout the Miss Universe competition, and then comparing it against other candidates' performances or outputs, sorry, but they didn't deserve it. Even if they won while they were putting out that much, it will still not be a fulfilling win. This is a wake-up call to MEPH or to step up their game and improve. They should have done better ever since. Okay, marami nabanggit si Aurora Cassiopeia doon, but I think I want to focus on yung part na sinabi niya na yung mga mayayaman lang ang kayang mag tawag nito mag-pour in ng time effort on such big projects. Okay, first things first, um, practicing sustainable fashion can take a lot of forms. On my end, one of the things that I do before I buy a piece of clothing is that I calculate for its cost per wear. The idea here is that before you buy clothing, you have to calculate the cost per wear so that if this piece of clothing is going to last you for long, and will it be something that would help, you know, help ease up on the consumerism that is prevalent on society nowadays? Because there is a study that says that um, the average, you know, use ng and this is an American study, so please bear with me on this. I don't have enough material on this on the Filipino on the Filipino study na whether or not we tend to make use of clothes longer. So there is a study, an American study that says that on average, you know, the American person uses a piece of clothing for around 2 months long only, or around 6 times at the most. And majority of the clothes that we all donate to, you know, charitable institutions end up in landfills. With that being said, one of the areas where we can help be more sustainable with when it comes to fashion is to calculate for cost per wear. Meaning, if you're going to buy a piece of clothing, try to imagine and calculate how many times are you going to wear that piece of item, and divide it by the cost that you are buying it for. On my end, if a piece of clothing, realistically, after calculating for its cost per wear, is somewhere within the 10 peso range, meaning I use it more often than not. Meaning that if a piece of clothing, after factoring how many times I wear it throughout the entire year, would be divided into the cost per how many times I wear it. Pag bumaba na siya ng 10 pesos, then that means that that is a purchase that is worth buying for. That is something that is of a good purchase. Meaning, dapat ko siyang bilhin kasi ang cost per wear niya over the entire 1 year na gagamitin ko siya is 10 piso lang. Another thing that, that we can do at a small scale, in order for us to be involved with the, sustainability, being eco-friendly when it comes to fashion, is kapag may butas yung mga damit natin, hindi natin dapat kaagad tinatapon. In my end, I have several jeans na nagninisnis na yung mga areas na nagra-rub together. Mga areas like the crotch, like the knees, like the hemline. Those are things na madalas na gets into contact with, let's say, the floor, when you walk. Yun yung mga nagro-rub rub together, and therefore any area that, that is put under stress, it usually is the area na una siyang nagninisnis, numinipis, or nasisira. And by mere, by mere repairing our clothes and allowing it to have a longer lease of life, helps reduce the carbon emissions for that garment by 30%. So malaking bagay yon. There are small things that we all can do in order for us to uh, to do something that is within the same what do you call this, the same wavelength that these pageant girls do, in order to be sustainable, to be fashion sustainable, in order for us to have less carbon footprint. And I think that is one of the things na kinakailangan nating hanapan ng solusyon, because if we keep on saying that, oh, may pera kasi sila, may opportunity kasi sila na gawin yon, if we don't find the opportunities where we can do such thing for ourselves, then walang mangyayari sa atin. If pageant girls are always going to think of their limitations instead of looking beyond it, and finding ways that they have something that they can bring into the pageant table later on, whether it's a small, food drive for the orphanages in their provinces, or finding ways to help students have access to education, for far-flung barrios, for the girls in the provinces, those things can help in their pageant journey. Hindi kinakailangan malaki yung scale ng ng uh, ng advocacy ng pagtulong mo or ng iyong passion project. It can be as simple as what I do when it comes to fashion. Na I don't buy um, clothes unless it calculates for cost per wear for around 10 pesos. So, I mean, it's the small stuff that helps make, kapag pinagsama-sama yung maliliit na mga bagay, it becomes a big thing. So, there. Okay, Dorothy V. Jones. Ano tong emoticon? The volume heart. If my voice is a little bit mahina, pagpasensyahan niyo na lang. I am just using kasi the volume of the phone for this live stream. Okay, let's scroll down sa mga iba pang mga comments. I think there's a comment here from G Manila. G Manila says, the beauty of Dominican Republic is the strongest since Amelia Vega, while Amanda is the best since Estefania. They deserve the Miss Universe crown if only they competed in different years. I kind of agree. Kasi I think Amanda, if Amanda competed last year, I think she would have made, a great competition for Harnaz. And she has that very youthful Latina vibe in her na I don't think kayang tapatan ni Miss Paraguay. I think it would have been a very different result in 2021 had it been that Amanda competed in 2021. Okay, Della Donna. MUPH should look for a girl with solid and legit advocacy and strong communication skills. She should have a superior pasarela and stage presence, not to be that beautiful since it can now be enhanced if needed. Dre says, hello Sir Jason, newbie in your comment section. Well, hello Dre, please hit the like button since marami-rami na tayo dito sa live stream. I hope na you're enjoying the live stream, so hit the like button para mas marami pa yung makakita ng ating live stream and can join us in our discussion. John Snow says, hi Sir Jason. Obvious yung difference ng Trump era sa JKN. Question ko, ano ang difference ng IMG sa JKN in choosing the winner? John Snow, that is a very good question because right now, it seems to me that there is not much difference yet between the IMG era and the JKN era. However, I think as we go on to its second and third year, dun pa lang natin makikita the differences in the way that the pageant is run because we are able to find the perfect perfect balance on how to what the organization is looking for after maybe a couple of years because yun yung nangyari kay Catriona eh. After PIA 1 in 2015, it took some time for us to really find the kind of winner that the organization is looking for. We looked at Iris and we looked at the journey of Demile, and then we found the perfect na balance between beauty and social causes and commerciality ng winner that we were able to apply that with Catriona. So for now, I think give us maybe 1 or 2 more years para makita talaga whether or not the kind of winner is this kind of mold because it takes maybe a couple of years to solidify that pa eh. So for now, I would say that that still strong pa din yung ability to communicate, ability to to inspire with your personal story. You still have to have like the credentials to show as well as yung authenticity mo na you don't na hindi mo siya na hindi mo siya hindi mo siya binibitawan, meaning you don't change yourself too much, that you're unrecognizable from the time that you won your national title and the way that you are now kasi kinakailangan pa rin siguro yung balanse ng lahat eh. Okay, Dora Arendondo. Hello, Dora. Sabi ni Dora, congratulations sa Miss Universe. Congratulations, Miss Universal 2022. Beautiful, wow, wow. Alexa, hello Alexa, kumusta? How are you? Alexa says, madami ka na nasabi. Is, the bottom line is ano ba to? Bottom line, as mentioned by others, here is that it's back to the drawing board to send a good candidate sa 2023 edition. Ayan. I agree. We really need to find, or actually, we don't need to be zero, back to zero, Alexa. Kasi I think it's essentially the IMG era, but IMG era much more intense. I think that's essentially what the new JKN era is, as of the moment. Kasi hindi lahat ng mga nabanggit naman natin on social responsibility projects, about being commercial, about being strong on stage, about having a heavy credential, parang hindi naman siya nabago eh. Lahat ng mga ito, it's already been there. It's already there during the IMG era. It's just that, I don't know, nakalimutan siguro natin na to build on these aspects. Um, Dora Arredondo is Spanish. Perdone, because I'm not a natural Spanish speaker, but let's just read her comment. La mejor en todo fue la Miss Universo USA y basta latinos siempre quieren ganar. I am not sure what that means, but I hope it's all good. Okay, Mary Jane Arzadon. Hi Jason, so much respect for you. Ikaw lang yung pageant vlogger here in the Philippines who tells it as it is. No, Eme, I think bashing stems from those who sugarcoat our girls. I think the reason din naman kasi that we need to be honest with our feedback, with our opinions on the girls, is that it doesn't help them if we sugarcoat things. It doesn't help them if the only thing that they hear from us is all positive, because that feeds their ego. And when ego comes into place and they no longer forget that this is a competition, and competitions can change sales. The winds can change sales at any moment. There is a danger that they become to be overconfident, and when that comes in, when they no longer assess themselves and look at themselves that they are flawed in some areas, that they are good in some areas, and they forget that other girls are possibly even learning as we speak, then they get lost with all these compliments, and akala nila that they can get by with so little that they give, and then the returns are going to be spectacular. Of course, the more that you invest, the bigger the returns can possibly be. So, hindi ka naman pwedeng magbigay ng minimum lang, and then ang ibibigay sa'yo ng boss mo full benefits, di ba? So, it has to be commensurate with the energy and what you give. So if I am being, direct to the point, I think that would help the girl, to assess the area that I am talking about. Of course, I'm not going to be rude about it. I'm just going to say it as it is. Okay, YouTube user 1329, Sir Jason, hindi po ba the fact that Arbony was half made it easier for Miss Philippines to be omitted in the semis? Arbony also has the Philippine market. Yun ang hadit eh. I was thinking na baka because aminin na natin, si Mrs. Spain marunong magtagalog. So there's the Filipino connection there. And she also trained here. And her designer is also from the Philippines. USA is half Filipino. Her designer is also Filipino. We have Miss Universe 2018, Catriona Gray in the commentators. As one of the commentators, one of the hosts essentially. And then we have a Filipino sponsor with Jojo Baragais and Olivia Cuido, who is also serving as a judge in the finals competition. And then we also have what do you call this? several other designers who dressed up several other Miss Universe candidates. So baka siguro nga naging naging factor in din 'yon kung ipapasok nila. Although I have heard from several other sources na in the know that some of the judges during the preliminaries were not impressed with Celeste's interview daw during the preliminary competition. And I don't want to speculate on that and prolong on that because until we see the actual footage of her closed door interviews, that it's all speculation at this point. So maybe nakaapekto, although I don't think na it would be a huge factor um, in her not making the semis. Perhaps the reason why Celeste did not make semis is because some other girls really shined at the closed-door interview. If it is true na 50% yung closed-door interview, but from what I've heard from you know from the past na 60% actually yung bigat nung interview, closer interview. Kahit na you do well on the swimsuits and the evening gowns, it won't be enough to cover for for that 60% kung pumalya ka doon sa 60% na yon. And with with criticism that Celeste did not wow the judges, or even the fans actually are not happy with her preliminary evening gown. Parang okay, so essentially diba ang nagiging chismis is that 75% or at least close to 80% ang medyo kinakailangan habulin ni Celeste if we are going to believe those rumors. So it really is not something that we can what do you call this, we can find evidence on at this point in time. Everything of all of these are just speculations at this point in time. So sorry. So the only way that we can really ascertain how to move forward is not to see where we did go wrong and dwell on it, but rather see where did we go wrong, what are the things that we can do to correct it, and what are the things that work with the winner that we can copy. So, and that is why we have this live stream today. Okay, saan na tayo? Where are we? Okay, YouTube user 1329. Sir, ano na para nangyari kina Crystal Stewart? Naligtas sila sa controversies kasi nanalo kandidata nila. Okay, as far as I know, their contract with Miss Universe for the Miss USA and Miss Teen USA na what do you call this, na franchisee is only up until this year. So let's wait and see if after the investigation um, kung mabibigay ba ulit sa kanila yon, if it's going to be returned back to them, kasi the investigation found that there was no rigging that happened based on the reports of the third party na auditor na nag-investigate ng situation. So I think we just have to wait whether or not i-award ulit sa kanya yung franchise. However, what I know know to be true at this moment is that yung kanyang asawa, si Max Sebrech, I think has been let go from the organization and is no longer involved in the organization. Kasi nga, nagkaroon din ng mga sexual harassment allegations from 2021 and 2022 ng mga candidates, or rather reports of misconduct on his part. So there. Mary Jane Arzadan says, kaya daming bashers dahil sobrang magpaasa most of the vloggers, as if perfect lahat ng mga candidates. Belladonna is asking, does Miss U Does MUO send a list of qualifications they are looking for national directors every year? If yes, how could each country send the wrong girls? It's like sending soldiers when they are looking for chefs. Okay, here's what I know. Every year, they are uh, they are briefed on what the organization is looking for that particular year. I believe that there is a parang communications group, email group sila with all the national directors where they are invited usually to have like a Zoom meet, or if not, it happens during the national directors meeting during the Miss Universe pageant itself. So, with that being said, I'm sure that the Miss Universe organization have already given clear memos, clear directives and direction on where the organization is steering the uh, the, the path on what they are looking for in a winner. Okay, KG. To all aspiring beauty queens, learn from Arboni, Tia, and Kat. They work hard to get the crown. I think the best thing that they can do is learn from all the winners from the past 10 years, I believe. Uh, Tignan nila kung saan tumama si Leila, saan tumama si Jimena, saan tumama si Kat, si Tia, si Iris, si Harnaz. Look at the continuous progression, or look at the patterns from the 2010 to the present on the different the different things that each Miss Universe is able to bring into the table. Okay, travel junkie. Hi Sir Jason. Late ako. Do you think Arbany will be able to push for her advocacy during her reign? Kasi po, I haven't seen any advocacy or social work during this Miss Universe event. I think it might happen much like, what do you call this? Much like with Harnaz. Harnaz, yung equity, yung menstrual equity niya, I think happened closer towards the middle of her reign. So, I'm sure at this point in time, ang unang priority ng mga tao behind the organization is to finish the media week for the winners. Kasi after her crowning, she will have to move to New York, do the media rounds, and then after that, mag-uusap yung mga yan on where does the new winner wants to bring her reign into, ano yung mga causes that is important and important to her, and pag-uusapan nila how they are going to execute that throughout her reign. So, definitely, the winner, Arbony, will have an input on how her reign is going to shape up. Okay, nasaan na tayo? Okay, nandito na tayo kay Hanash Zandro. Hi Jason. I feel pessimistic in the succeeding years in pageantry. If the org remains profit-driven rather than Thanksgiving, enabling the candidate to be supported on her own pageant journey, we will be seeing Merlies who are just cash cows for the org. But then again, maintindihan ko din naman kung they are very concerned with the finances. Mahirap din kasi ang mag-set up ng pageant. So, tignan na lang natin if ano yung plano ng org in order for them to be financially viable without, nang hindi naapektuhan yung chances ng mga candidates natin, ng mga winners natin while doing so. Okay, Dorothy V. Jones. Shamsi should set up and be the face of the organization to handle the situation very well. Travel Junkie says, Sir, sino po ba talaga ang owner ng MUP? Is it Sing Sons? Okay, somebody sent me a screenshot before of the 2020 yata na Miss Universe pageant, and it says there that the organization who handles the franchise here in the Philippines is the Empire PH na organization. Okay, Belladonna, Celeste may have been the MUPH sacrificial lamb under the new MUO, but later on, we should thank her for being an eye-opener for MUPH to reconfigure and recalibrate its standard in choosing the right girl to conquer more crowns in the future. I think right now, what we all need to do is to look at what are the things that we can learn from Celeste. But more than that, I think we also need to focus on the things that we can learn from Arbony's journey. Kasi ultimately, I think it is better to focus on our collective energies on what went right in the case of Arbony, because that is easily, something that we can apply and copy, rather than, try to manage the things that we cannot manage during Celeste's non-placement at Miss Universe. Kasi I think if we are looking at areas that needs to be uh, fixed by the org itself within the organization, medyo mahaba-habang process yan. Mas madali siguro if yung mismong pageant girl na lang ang mag-adjust with the way things are, rather than umasa tayo sa org na sila yung magbago. Ultimately kasi, it the responsibility falls on the pageant girl, whether or not she becomes a puppet or she takes leadership. I think that's ultimately the biggest takeaway that we can learn from this entire Miss Universe season this January. I think ultimately um, it is the girl, it is the pageant girl who should take, leadership, ownership of her own journey. And I've said this, multiple times in the past live stream, because I think this is the area that we really need to focus on at this moment in time. For the focus is on the girl rather than the org. Okay, I think we have been able to cover all the things that we need to cover for this live stream. I want to make this as short as possible this time around, because the last live stream that we had, we went overboard with like 2 hours worth of footage. So I think it's about time that we end our discussion for tonight, and focus on a good note, because ultimately I think what we need to focus on is Arbony and what she brought into the table, because what she brought into the table is something that we all, appreciate and learn from, in order for us to, recalibrate our strategies for Miss Universe in El Salvador. I am hoping that this pageant season, yung organization ng Miss Universe Philippines will able to find a candidate who ticks all the boxes, or para kahit papaano, come Miss Universe season this coming December, kahit top 16 lang muna ang maibigay nila sa atin, magiging masaya na tayo. Ayan. So, thank you very much for everyone who joined today's live stream. Thank you very much for listening. I'm sure I've ranted so masyadong nagrant itong mga nakarang oras, because of the multiple points that I wanted to discuss before, we end the live stream. I'm hoping that ultimately, yung key learnings natin on Arbony being very focused on her being an individual, yung individuality niya na-highlight doon sa kanyang pageant journey, yung kanyang intense na focus at yung consistency niya throughout the competition. That is something that we all can learn and apply on in our next Miss Universe journey. And sana din sa mga pageant girls na nakikinig ngayon, sana you are able to, to find all of these resources that we've published in our blog, para it can help you, to develop your, mental fortitude, how to, to set up a very successful na social media campaign with regards to your pageant campaign this year. So I hope that everybody can learn something from this live stream. So that's it. There are a few more comments here that I will be reading before we end today's live stream. Ping, hindi pa naipaliwanag ng MUP ano ba talaga nangyari sa gowns ng ibang designers na hindi pinasuot pero mas magaganda pa. KG said, no, it's Belladonna. Belladonna said, but quite frankly, how could the judges ignore a pretty face like that of Celeste? Her face screams a crown. Unfortunately, as I've said, having good face is no longer the end all and be all in pageantry, especially in Miss Universe. KG says we should celebrate the winning of Arbony and let's support her advocacy. She is a deserving winner. So let's end on that note. Thank you very much for all of your comments, for all of your support in this live stream, and I hope to see you again soon in our upcoming episode. So goodbye, everyone, and see you in our next live stream. Take care.